She was sitting in her car after her gym session, keys in her hand, phone on the seat beside her. And he was already there, waiting. He had been tracking her on social media for weeks. He knew exactly which gym she went to. He knew exactly what time she finished. He had even purchased the weapon 2 days earlier. She had reported him to police. She had blocked him everywhere. She had done everything right, and none of it was enough. This is the real documented story of Molly McLaren, 23 years old, Chatham, Kent, England. The names of the victim's family have been changed to protect their privacy. Every other detail happened exactly as you are about to hear it. Molly McLaren was 23 years old, and by every measure, she was someone who had already fought harder than most people ever have to. As a teenager, she had suffered from bulimia, a battle she fought quietly and alone for years before finding her way through it. By 2016, she had transformed her life completely. She was studying health and fitness at the University of Kent. She had started a blog documenting her personal struggle with eating disorders, not for attention, but because she genuinely believed her story could help other young people find their way. That summer, she decided she was ready to meet someone. She signed up to Tinder, and she matched with a 26-year-old window salesman named Joshua Stimpson. Joshua Stimpson was charming. Former colleagues described him as someone who stood out on his job application by a mile. He was confident, engaging, the kind of person who made a strong first impression. Molly and Joshua spoke on Tinder for 3 months before she agreed to meet him in person. And at first, everything seemed fine. But as the weeks passed, something shifted. Joshua began to grow more controlling, more possessive, more focused on monitoring what Molly was doing and who she was spending time with. Molly recognized it for what it was, and she made the decision that every person in that situation is told they should make. She ended the relationship. And that is when Joshua Stimpson removed his mask completely. After Molly ended the relationship, Joshua began to stalk her on social media. He posted derogatory messages about her online. He shared photos of her without her consent. He tracked her movements through her social media posts, learning her routines, which gym she went to, what time she finished, which car she drove. Molly did everything right. She went to the police and reported what was happening. She reported Joshua to Facebook and asked for the content to be removed. But here is where this story becomes something beyond just a story about one man, and becomes a story about a system that failed her. When Molly and her mother went to the police, officers were unable to access information from another police force about Joshua's previous behavior toward former girlfriends. 2 of those ex-girlfriends would later testify at trial. One described how Joshua had sent her photos of herself sunbathing in her own back garden, photos she had no idea he had taken. He had threatened to drown her. The information existed. It was in a database in a different police district, and the system did not share it. How does a person go from charming and engaging to purchasing a weapon 2 days before using it, while tracking someone's every movement online, and feel nothing wrong with any of it? Psychologists who study stalking behavior identify a specific and deeply dangerous pattern called erotomania, combined with what researchers call coercive entitlement. Erotomania is the delusional belief that another person belongs to you, that their decision to leave is not a real decision, but a temporary confusion that needs to be corrected. In the mind of someone experiencing this, Molly's decision to end the relationship was not real. It was an obstacle, something to be overcome. And coercive entitlement, the deep belief that they have the right to control another person, provided the psychological framework that turned obsession into something far more dangerous. Former colleagues at Joshua's workplace described how there appeared to be 2 completely separate sides to him. One was the charming man who stood out on his job application. The other was depressed, easily irritable, capable of something dark that most people around him never saw coming. That is the nature of this pattern. The mask does not slip gradually. It stays perfectly in place until the moment it comes off completely. On June 29, 2017, Joshua Stimpson followed Molly to the Dockside Outlet Shopping Center car park in Chatham, Kent. He had purchased the knife 2 days earlier from an Asda and a home base, captured on CCTV that investigators would later recover. Molly was sitting in her car. She had just finished her gym session. She had her keys in her hand. She had no idea he was there. He stabbed her 75 times. Witnesses in the car park called emergency services immediately. Joshua Stimpson was arrested at the scene. He did not run. He did not attempt to hide. He simply stopped, as if what he had done had solved the problem he had been trying to solve. In February 2018, Joshua Stimpson was found guilty of the murder of Molly McLaren. The judge described him as wicked and cowardly. He was sentenced to a minimum of 26 years in prison. Molly's father has since campaigned tirelessly for better information sharing between police forces, so that the next person who walks into a police station to report a stalker can be told what that stalker has done before. Molly McLaren did everything she was supposed to do. She recognized the warning signs. She ended the relationship. She reported him to police. She reported him online. She told the people around her. And she was still failed by a system that did not share the information that might have saved her life. That is the hardest part of this story. Not that a dangerous man existed, but that the information about who he was already there, sitting in a database in another city, waiting to be shared with someone who needed it. Molly's father is still fighting. Her story is still changing how police forces share information about stalkers. She did not survive, but the changes her family fought for may mean that someone else does. The mask always slips. It's just a matter of time. I'm behind the mask, and I'll see you in the next one.